Morning, I hope you're all well. Finally, I'm out and about again. I've got out on the road. I'm about an hour away from my house and I've come to meet somebody today, so you don't just have to look at my ugly mug all day. This person I first met at the Fully Charged live show. We got chatting. He obviously knows a thing or two about electric vehicles, but today he's in a very special car. It's not his own. He's won it on the Polar Experience scheme. If you watched a few episodes ago, I had the Tesla Model S. Well, he's done the same, but with a different car. So we're going to have a look at that car today. We're going to have a chat with him. And from what I understand, he's got a friend with him. So I have no idea who that is or what his interest is in EVs. But hey, as with all these things, let's find out together. These things are never scripted. Dave, brilliant to meet you.
Hi.
You're on a bit of a long journey today.
We are doing a big road trip.
Right, so we'll get on to everything else. Just
Okay.
explain your road trip today for me. Where are you heading?
Right, we started at Land's End yesterday.
Right.
And we're heading to John O'Groats.
Why?
Because we got the Polar Experience Model X for a week.
So you're going to put as many miles on it as you can.
Couldn't resist just getting in it and driving it.
First impressions?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Just can't put it into words, really.
It is.
Brilliant car.
Let's look at the car a bit more in a bit. What I want to do is let's find out a bit more about you. So
Sure.
obviously you've got an EV because you've won this Polar Experience, so you
Yeah.
obviously charge using Polar. How have you come about getting into an EV and what you're driving?
I've got a BMW i3,
Right.
which I also love, and it's obviously at home being feeling a bit neglected because this big Model X turned up. But I've been driving that for about 16 months.
Right.
I do 20,000 miles a year. I have a range extender, which I don't use.
Before you bought that i3, what were you driving and what was kind of the catalyst? Now it's time to change.
Right, I had a 2-litre diesel Skoda. I do a lot of driving around for my work, and really a lot of it is about saving money. I went from a petrol car to a diesel car to save some money. The main reason was that we got to the point where my wife needed another car. Her car was 18 years old and 190,000 miles on the clock. So we started looking at what she was spending on fuel and what a car was going to cost, and we ended up with a BMW, an i3. And when I drove the i3, I ended up thinking I realised that BMW did a range extender version that would give me 200 miles and that would do my work as well. So we bought two i3s. And it costs 20% less than running the petrol and the diesel that we used to run.
So you
Fuel.
effectively it's not just braking, you are saving money by running these
two brand new cars with warranties. We replaced a 4-year-old Skoda and an 18-year-old Golf. And
Brilliant.
It's 20% cheaper.
Brilliant.
So what's not to like?
And yeah, this is the interesting thing for me because I've done those calculations for myself several times, and it always comes out exactly the same as what you're saying.
Yeah.
But the one question
I get accused of man maths.
Oh
to
no,
be honest.
absolutely, yeah.
But it's not. It works.
And it's not even like it's slightly better.
No,
it's a huge leap.
Loads and loads better.
But funnily enough, the argument that I'm finding coming back at me more than anything at the moment is, but you're going to have to replace your battery, aren't you? So
somebody said to me the other week, and somehow it's got from 3 years for battery life to 12 months for battery life.
Yeah.
It's because I've got to put a new battery in it at 12 months.
Yeah.
BMW give me an 8-year, 100,000 mile warranty. So if they've got it wrong, they're going to have a lot of. Of course they're going to have a lot of replacement batteries going on, and
absolutely.
They haven't got it wrong, have they?
No,
Just
and it's
haven't got
proving it time and time again. Not just our driving, but you see these companies that do hundreds of thousands of miles a year, and the batteries are still going strong.
Yeah.
So you obviously say you use the car a lot, week in, week out for your work.
Yes.
So you put a lot of mileage onto it.
Yep.
It's interesting what you do for work. Do you mind talking about that?
I design and build test equipment for internal combustion engines.
Brilliant.
And I get an awful lot of stick when I turn up at customer sites in an electric vehicle.
I can well imagine. So how's that going as a business?
I mean, there's still plenty of work in internal combustion. There's a lot of legacy product out there, all sorts of vehicles, all kinds of stuff, right across the range, trucks and buses, and passenger vehicles. lorries, train engines, everything you think of with a diesel engine in it, predominantly diesel.
Diesel, right.
So all that stuff, cover all that.
Okay. And are you seeing any sort of change in the industry now? Are people now asking about how can we make the switch, or is it still too early for them to do that?
It's a difficult thing. I don't know whether there's an element of we'll just carry on as normal. Depending on what engines you're working on, there are obviously different emissions levels that they're trying to achieve, and they've had a real battle with the current level of emissions. It's been very hard to achieve the current standard for the vehicles that have just gone on sale, and I believe there's another level step in 2 years' time again. WLTP has really been a battle. Really been a battle. Yeah, it's hard work. Yeah.
So almost it's not that there's the engines aren't up to it; it's that the regulations are forcing the engines away.
Yeah,
and something has to fill that void.
Yeah, they've got an efficiency battle on their hands. They can't achieve the efficiency that electric vehicles are achieving. The only thing that's been holding it back is battery technology. That's it, and that's advancing at an incredible rate.
All right, I think what I'd like to do is have a real good look around this car.
Sure.
If we change some equipment around, perhaps we can go for a little drive.
Absolutely.
You've done a good few hundred miles now, so
I'm well into it.
You can tell me what you think of it. Brilliant.
Cool.
I think
steering lock compared to the i3 is rubbish, but the i3 is mega steering.
Yeah, and it's a totally different size car, isn't it? It's no surprise, let's be honest. Yeah, but then it's exactly what you were saying before. This is vast in here, but when you're outside, actually,
it doesn't.
When you see it, it doesn't look very big.
It doesn't look big
until you then park it against a normal size car, and then it looks massive again. So there's obviously some design cues in it that they've just kept it looking compact and neat.
It's very neat. It's very neat. The space inside is phenomenal. The when you open the boot and you start, it seems big, and then you open the lower floor pieces and it goes down and down and down. It just keeps. I mean, all the stuff that you normally fit in a boot will go under the bottom bit of the boot, and then you've got the rest of it on top of that, and the front boot frunk fruit.
Does it depend where you grew up?
There's a whole.
Now inside here, it feels very much like the S. Have you been in one?
I've been in an S several times. And a friend of mine has an S, and I think it's identical. I don't think there's any. I can't think of any difference in the dashboard at all.
No,
it looks the same. I have a bit of a personal thing with sat-navs in cars. They're all a bit rubbish.
Yeah, I was about to come on to that. The Nissan one, they might as well have not bothered. They might as well have drawn something on a piece of paper and stuck it on the dashboard. Utter rubbish. They use
the
Google
BMW.
Maps.
Sometimes BMW broke the sat-nav this year. The map update actually almost made it completely unusable. It wouldn't route quick enough. If you went off route, it would not reroute quick enough.
Oh, how frustrating!
And it took 6 months for them to release an update that actually fixed it.
Oh god! So, and is it worth using now?
I use it. I do use it, but it just infuriates me, and it's. I sometimes have an app going on in the background doing another sat nav just to make sure.
I tend to turn my screen down so it's a shelf, put my phone on there with Google Maps, and use that.
It works.
I know it will work, and I know if there's a traffic jam, it will route me around it. I don't have to worry about anything, and I know the route it's taking me is genuinely the quickest route, not something that Nissan have come up with. And the places I've ended up are ridiculous. I've just given up on it now. But Google Maps in here, and I found it worked flawlessly. I don't know.
I love it. It's I love the routing options with it. It tells you where the chargers are. Okay, supercharge. It's very supercharger based.
Of course it is.
But the trip planning, the range estimation, that's been flawless. It really works very, very well.
Yeah, like them or hate them, Tesla are definitely leading the way as far as electric vehicles are concerned. Of course, others are catching up now, and this will be, for me, this is going to be where the test comes. Is what Tesla does enough to be anything more than that niche, unusual, high-end EV? Is it going to be enough to compete with Jaguar, Mercedes, BMW, all the others that are coming online now? It'll be really interesting. I think the next 5 years will be make or break for them.
Traditional cars don't get updates. I couldn't help it.
You've got to.
My foot slipped. They don't have, the car comes, it's standard, it's as it is. They never get an update. You may go to a dealer and get a fix, a bit of an ECU reflash or something to fix an issue. You won't get new features. It will just stay as it is. This had a software update last night. We parked it up. It must have downloaded it at home before we left the trip. When we got in it to do the trip, it said there's some new software. When do you want to do it? So we set it to update last night, and this morning we've got new features, new things added to the car that it didn't have yesterday.
You'd never get that in
That's
anything
great,
else.
isn't it?
Yeah, isn't it? People will compare it to a computer and how many times Windows crashed on you and all the rest of it. But so far, I haven't really seen an issue as far as that's concerned. They do crash. There's no doubt about it. I've had a crash on me and I had to reset it. But all it did was meant the screen went blank. I could still drive the car. It's still no different to any other car. It just meant that all of this went blank.
The centre screen went top.
So there are bugs, but it's not the end of the world.
I don't think so.
So going back to your i3, I know we're jumping around a bit now. The charger issue. I didn't realise it's been sorted. For people that don't know anything about what's been going on, just a very brief overview. It's been about 3 months. It's been
so I've had the i3 15 months, and ecotricity charging has been about 90+% success rate in that time. So no problems. But about 3 months ago, we started having weird problems where all of a sudden we went completely the other way, and I was having a failure rate of 90%, and a success rate of sort of 10%. And ecotricity thought it was an isolated thing with an odd BMW, but with the community going on, it's almost impossible to hide behind things like that.
Of course it is.
The community were up in arms because ecotricity were blaming the i3 when it wasn't a problem with it, because you'd go to another charger, even a DBT charger, and it would work, but the ecotricity ones wouldn't work. The Polar ones will work fine. Go to an Ultra charger, go to a Siemens, an ABB, all working fine. So they've obviously looked at it. They've been working together with BMW and DBT, and they've highlighted an issue with the software update that was put into the charger, and now they're looking at fixing it. So
good.
Fingers crossed.
Let's hope so.
Yeah, absolutely. All we want is successful charging. I'm happy to pay for it.
Absolutely.
I think we're all happy to pay for it.
You just want to be guaranteed when you turn up at that charger and you haven't got enough to get to the next charger, you don't have to worry. Starting, I've always defended ecotricity because for me without them, we wouldn't be where we are. They covered the network in chargers. They were free of charge. They did masses for us. But my point, I think, at the moment is, having recently travelled to London, of the chargers that I went on, of the ecotricity ones, I had a 50% success rate.
Wow.
Thankfully,
on
shadow mode. So thankfully, everywhere I went, there was a second charger. But when you start talking about, if there's always going to be one of the two down, what's to say there's not going to be a second one down? Compare that to the Polar Ultra chargers I went on. Flawless. 100%. All of them work perfectly. Now, whether that is because ecotricity chargers are getting a little bit old now, a little bit neglected. I don't know if they've got a revamp coming where they're going to start introducing higher powered chargers.
I believe there's something in progress for next year.
So I do wonder now, are they saving money and not spending on their current batch?
It crossed my mind.
Which is a shame.
I have no evidence of that.
None at all. But that's my feeling. That's what I'm worried about now. Are we going to have maybe 12, 18 months of hit and miss in the hope that it will get better eventually?
Actually do something.
And in the meantime, a lot of people will probably avoid using them because there are better systems out there.
I'll go back onto them if the reliability comes. For me and my mileage during the week, I don't want to trek off the motorway to find a charger.
And of course, the other thing is, are ecotricity going to keep that monopoly on service stations, or is there a way that the likes of Polar can also offer a charging network across the motorways? I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how that pans out, because surely that can't be forevermore now.
I don't think so, no. We'll see. Time again.
So let's jump back to this one then.
Sure.
Obviously you get that wow factor, don't you? You get in the car and it is the greatest thing you've ever driven. But then you do a few hundred miles. what are your feelings now? Are you still, is it wow every time you drive it, or are there some little bits now that you're starting to wonder about?
I love it. I really do love it. I can see where we're going into a national speed limit. I can do this.
Irresistible.
I love it. But I love the driving around here at normal speed.
Yeah.
It's such a quiet, comfortable car.
Big and smooth, easy.
There are a couple of little things that are niggling, not really niggling. There are 4 wires in the corner of this windscreen that I can see.
Oh, I can just see the reflection,
Yeah.
yes.
And would you be happy if you'd spent £90,000 on one of these and you could see 4 wires in the corner of the windscreen? I don't know.
Well, you have to consider what else could you buy for £90,000, and would it have something like that?
The thing with this is that, yes, exactly, but the thing against this is its volume. It's not a volume produced car, and anything volume produced has that. I suspect if you get in a lot of very top end cars that are low volume produced, we're not talking about Mercedes and BM and things like that, but small volume cars, there's definitely going to be some things that are not right, because those production volume irons out all those issues on the production lines, and if you don't have volume, you're not getting those things fixed. So I love it. I love the package of it, the supercharging, especially if you're getting free supercharging. The range of the thing is fantastic. I mean, this is a 90D and it does 220, 230 miles on a charging
Something
car.
this size.
That's really is no excuse territory with electric. You don't even think about it really.
Yeah, and what's nice is those doubters appreciate we can't all afford one of these.
Yeah,
but
I can't afford one of these.
No, it's technology, and technology moves so quickly that this will be affordable in no time at all.
Yeah.
So it just shows people what can be achieved, and I think that's what Tesla is so good at.
Yeah.
Regardless of whether you like them, regardless of whether you can afford them, it just shows you this is what can be done, and this is what we are all going to be driving in the future, no matter what the badge is on the front. Well, Dave, thanks ever so much. It's been lovely meeting you. I know we met at Fully Charged and we had a good chat there. But yeah, I found out so much more about you, your history, this car. It's been thoroughly enjoyable. So thank you ever so much. Really nice to meet you.
Really great to meet you.
We can do it again sometime.
Awesome.
Perhaps another car, another location, somewhere else.
There's plenty more in the experience fleet.
Yeah, well...
Twizzy.
Yeah, funny enough, I'm not sure if a Twizzy would make it in. After obviously knowing I was coming to meet you today, this morning I put my Polar bid in for the month. So this is mine next month.
It's very competitive, the Polar experience.
I know.
This is yours next month. Go for it.
Yeah, we'll see. I tell you what, if I get it, I'm coming up to see you.
Awesome. That's great.
Brilliant. All right. Well, thank you ever so much,
Pleasure.
Dave. I know Nick didn't appear in it too much, but we've got some pearls of wisdom from him as well.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that's brilliant. All right. Well, take care. Enjoy the rest of your drive. Say hello to Scotland for me.
Will do.
And I'll see you again.
Cheers.
All the best. Take care.
Bye-bye.
So there you go. After a very long morning, I've made a bit of a pit stop here for lunch. And it's given me a chance to reflect a little bit on what we spoke about today. And I found it really interesting. It's really interesting because Dave works with internal combustion engines. That is his livelihood. And yet he goes out of his way to talk up and promote electric vehicles. Now, he doesn't get paid to do that. He doesn't get any sponsorship. He gets nothing for it. Because he believes in them so much, he goes out of his way in his own time to go and talk to people about it, to go to shows, to go to events where he can pass on his knowledge to other people. And I think that's really, really interesting. And the other really interesting thing is Nick, who was his friend, who you might have seen peeping through the seats in the back of the car when we were out and about, he wasn't overly keen on being on camera to talk. But he works for one of the big breakdown companies here in the UK. And when I spoke to him about how good EVs are and whether he comes across them very much, he said he never sees them. They're never broken down. He hasn't had to work on one at all. And he followed that up by saying, but of course they wouldn't, because what is there in there to go wrong? And we did talk a little bit more about the components within the car and how it almost is, at the moment, EVs are very much a lift from an internal combustion engine car. They've just taken the engine out and dropped the battery, inverter, motor, etc. in there. There's still other bits in that car that could be updated, upgraded, changed. So the future for him, he's also starting to look at, well, can I look somewhere else? Is there another part of my industry that I understand and know that can help me to understand how to work with EVs? Because he sees that as the future as well. He doesn't have one at the moment, but he very much sees what he described, the snowball effect. It's coming and there's nothing going to stop it, he believes. So really interesting two people to talk to today. Hopefully it's come across and you've enjoyed it. If you have, remember to like and share the video, and if you're not doing so already, subscribe to the channel. Until next time, thank you ever so much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Take care.